This is Talk It Over, the only dating relationship podcast that begins in bed. Make the time to subscribe. Now let's pull back those sheets.
Can we talk about the relationships? Can we talk it over, see how we can build? Only you and I know that's the way it goes. In this big old bed, they talk it over, so talk it over. Can we talk it over? We can talk it over. Can we talk it over in bed? Talk it over. Can we talk it over? Can we talk it over? Oh, in bed.
Yo, it's your man Big O back for another episode of Talk It Over, the only dating relationship podcast that begins in bed. I want to welcome Trish. How are you today?
I am good.
Trish, let everybody know what we're talking about in this big old bed, because this is a hot one. I like this topic. Your stories are crazy.
Yo, I got a million of them. Trust me, I'm not done.
Crazy.
All the Trish stories are crazy.
Yeah.
I might start my own podcast and just interview you.
Listen,
Straight up, the stories and chronicles of Trish, co-host.
listen.
Entertaining.
I got stories for days. When I say I got stories for days, I got stories for days. But today's topic, part two, we're coming back to you guys this week with part two of can a neat freak and a slob be in a relationship? Is being messy a deal breaker? So I think in part one, we already know, like we all said, yes, it's a deal breaker. But we did bring up a topic last week in the part one where we talked about hoarding briefly. So, I don't remember who said it, but somebody had mentioned, is there a difference between being messy and being a hoarder? Now, I think, and this is me personally, and our producers were talking to us about this as well. I don't think I could be with a hoarder, because now we're talking about issues that go way deeper than just you being lazy or not being mindful of keeping your place clean. And I don't think that I have the patience personally to deal with it. And you guys can tell me about what you guys think or your personal experiences, but would you date someone that had crossed that line of being just dirty and now was a complete hoarder?
I don't think I could, because like you said, it then is on a whole different level and is dealing with, to me, a psychological issue you might have. So
Yeah, I agree. You start to enter a different realm when you can't throw something away. Like when you like stack so many things into your accommodation that you run out of room. Like and I watch those shows and I just don't know how. I mean, that it's amazing, and to hear how people think about
justify and rationalize.
Justify is just like, the one guy I watched recently,
Are you still watching it?
I do too.
It's just like
watch it.
Every once in a while I'll just happen by, and it just draws me in because I'm just like, who lives like this?
Be like nervous of what's gonna come out.
Yeah, just like
under that stuff.
And he just could not let go of like newspapers because he had a thought, and it was just like, I was like, oh my God.
The whole newspaper, not just a section.
It's fascinating to me to see this, because it's just like, you just can't believe that that's something that's a thing. It's a thing.
Anjali, what are your thoughts? I want to know what Anjali says. I know she says she's listening and enjoying being a spectator. I definitely want to hear, because you were the first one to bring in the connection between like the outer represents the inner, and it may be of like a phase. It may be something that they've experienced recently, or it may be just like you said, they may be just who they are.
Not to bring so many variables into this, but I think there's a difference between chronic hoarding and acute hoarding. Like what Chris was describing to me sounds like a chronic hoarder, like someone that anything, they can't let it go. It is, that's too much for them. There's also acute hoarding in my head that it could be something specific. So I'm a lyricist, and like whenever
Spit some bars. Let me hear. No,
I was like, okay, well, but like I'll get an idea for a song and I'll write it down on a sheet of paper that'll just be a random sheet of paper that I find because I got to get it out. I got to get it out or I'll forget it. Like it's been to a point where I'll be in the shower and I'll be like, no, that was brilliant. And I'll just run out and I'll write something down, but dripping wet. And like, then I'll kind of forget that I wrote it down, but I want to keep that paper just in case like more ideas come to it, more ideas come to it.
Okay.
So there are random little bits of papers with like 3 phrases on it all through my house, because at some point I'm gonna put those papers together and it's gonna be a song. Like there is.
So that's your process.
That's my process. Like that's
Okay.
that's my way of bringing my art to life.
Got
so
it.
there is a certain, to me, that's acute hoarding. Like it's not for everything. Like I'll throw things away till I'm blue in the face, just not these pieces of paper. And so like, I think that's livable. The chronic hoarding, that to me is a deal breaker, because that person's mental landscape is probably really messy too. And something that I would have to take a lot of time and effort to try and understand, and I don't have the energy for that. So like that relationship isn't going to work out.
Okay.
Really enjoy that distinction, Anjali. Yeah, that was a good, because now I'm starting to think about, wait a minute, I do some of those kind of same things, but I've actually, called it being a pack rat. Like
Yeah.
I have a storage with a box of, like those kind of things, like, so does that mean I'm almost a hoarder?
That's what I was about to say. I was like, I wonder how many hoarders in the show said, I'm a pack rat. I'm not a hoarder. How many times has that been justified or rationalized? Like, I'm not a hoarder, I'm a pack rat. There's a difference. It's a scale.
So real quick, y'all, while we're sitting over here talking, I'm actually looking at a few different articles. So there are plenty of articles online that talk about hoarding and that there's levels to hoarding and is a messy house a sign of a mental illness. So what the experts are definitely saying, and this is from CBS News, is that household clutter is a common problem. So anybody with a messy house, you're not alone. That's normal. It's common. But extreme clutter is evidence of hoarding, a serious psychological condition that's been linked to obsessive compulsive disorder that requires some form of intervention. So in dating, apparently those of us that are clean freaks or neat freaks are the anomalies. I've even seen a couple of articles here where people are talking about, yes, they're able to, there's one article here from insider.com where the title is, I'm sorry, I'm a messy person dating a clean freak. Here's how we made it work. And they made it work by setting boundaries.
Okay.
So the boyfriend was the clean freak, the girlfriend was a messy person. And they eventually, when they moved in together, she thought she was perfectly normal, which truthfully she is. According to what CBS is saying, truthfully, it's more common for people to be messy than for people to be neat freaks. And she basically said they ended up divvying up the household chores. While he has an affinity for vacuuming and making sure cabinets are, organized and neat, they have discussed what are their limitations, what is his limitation. And he has asked her to help with things like putting away the clothes, picking up after yourself, little things like that. And then they make a day of it where they deep clean together. So I guess these messy hoarding relationships can work, but there has to be some type of boundary that is set with both parties, that both parties are willing to agree to. So, I mean, outside of the 5 of us, it sounds like there are some people out here willing to make that kind of compromise and make it work. I don't think I'm one of them though.
But they set they set a schedule.
Yeah, they set a schedule and they set boundaries.
Okay.
So it was
I guess if everybody's playing by those rules, then I mean, it kind of sounds like that's a solution, a potential solution for anybody who may be in that situation.
Yeah.
Geraldine, what were you about to say?
I think it depends on the level of their messiness as far as me dealing with them.
Okay.
So, because there are levels of it. Like you said, somebody might not like to vacuum.
Mm-hmm.
They might not like to pick up behind themselves after they take their clothes off in the bathroom. I can deal with that. Cause I pick your clothes up real quick and drop them in either in the trash or the hamper. Because they kind of there right there together in the washroom area. They either going in the trash or the hamper. So it'll make it. But if it's to the point where I can barely walk in your space,
mm-hmm.
then no. If I gotta walk all over on clothes and stuff, no.
So it's a comfort level. Basically, is what it boils down to. If I'm comfortable doing X, Y, and Z, whether it's picking up, vacuuming, wiping off a countertop or whatever, but I'm not comfortable. Once I feel uncomfortable, no matter what it is, once I feel uncomfortable, that's a red light.
I'm not. If you can cook in a nasty kitchen, then I'm not gonna eat your food.
Yep.
I'm not.
That might be some of the best food you ever had in your life, Geraldine. What you talking about? All the cross contamination,
going out or coming in,
all the you frying fish that's been fried and used in chicken oil and liver. And looking.
If you got dishes stacked up in your zinc.
Yeah, man, that's the sauce from the previous meal. That's gonna mingle with this meal that I'm putting together for you.
No,
I was always taught by my mom to clean your kitchen first. And clean as you cook.
Yep.
So I clean my.
But when you supposed to eat?
I can't have no dishes in my zinc.
Hold on.
When I first
when do you get to eat? I gotta cook and clean. The food done got cold.
Okay, you gonna eat
while
I'm cooking.
Okay, all right.
Whatever I use.
Okay.
After I use it, I'm washing, putting it in the dish drain. So
See, I ain't got time for all that. What if I ain't got time for that? That I cook, I eat, and then the cleaning and get to it later. Like
after I eat, I get that itis. I'm sorry. So I got to clean as I go.
But can I also say this? I will say this. I feel like nowadays, and this is for most professionals, I think most of us have taken on a value system of my time is very precious to me. So if I don't have time to clean, I'm gonna hire somebody to clean. It's like laundry service. So for me, I feel like there's really no excuse. I don't have time to wash clothes. So guess what? I use a laundry service. I don't have time to.
But
I don't
you
have
value
time to grocery shop. I value that.
So what if somebody doesn't value? Like I don't. I get to my clothes everywhere. They don't stink. That's when I wash them. I put them on.
But there's really no reason. That's how I trying to say is we're at a point where there's no reason why you really should be messy or dirty or things of that nature, because there's so many services available to people out there that you can utilize. I think if you value, again, messy could just be not having time or just being just not having time or the energy to get to it. Okay, well, there's a service for that. There's an app for that. There's so many ways that you could just help yourself. Listen,
if they just don't care, they're not going to use any of those services. They're not going to use any of those services if they don't care. It's not bothering me. It's bothering you. You go hire the maid.
Listen, I will.
Okay. All right. I'm playing devil's advocate.
She would just go in there and clean it herself. So. Yeah,
there's your new business right there.
See, listen, I'm not opposed to picking up a bottle of Lysol and bleach and Pine Sol and cleaning. Listen, I'll do it. But what I'm saying is, I feel like now in today's day and age that we live in, there is no reason why really you should be messy. Okay. There's so many different services and there's so much help that's available to you. You don't have to do it all yourself.
I don't like strangers in my house.
Grocery shopping. We have, drop-off service for laundry. There are Merry Maids that will come in and clean your house. So
what are they called?
Merry Maids.
Merry Maids. If you're utilizing the resources available to you, I think that speaks to more, are you comfortable like this? Do you not see that there's a problem here? And it kind of goes into that overlying theme of communication. Because if I'm dating you and I got my own house to worry about. I'm not going to worry about your house if you're not worried about it. If you're not making an effort to keep yourself together, keep your house together, and make sure that these spaces that we commune in are are clean and comfortable for the both of us, for me, it speaks volumes. Like, you really don't care about my comfort in your place. You don't care about, I care about your comfort in my place. Why not vice versa?
So let me ask, I want to go back to something, and Anjali, I want you to, well, Anjali, you have a thought before I pose?
Nope.
Okay.
Go for it.
I wanted to ask Geraldine, because what you said at the top, or in part one, was that, you know, you had been in a situation before where you dated someone who was a slob and you were the neat person, and it was, you just never went over there, right?
No, I never said I never went over there. I've been over there. That's how I knew how bad the house was. It's just I didn't visit like that.
Okay.
It was him coming to me.
So when in that situation, when he came to your place, did he ever get comfortable enough to where he started treating your place like it was his, and you had to check him? You had to check him like, yo, you're not okay. Okay.
Don't treat my place like yours.
Okay. I just want to know, did he ever get there and be like, oh, it's a nice place. Just toss my shoes everywhere. I'm gonna leave this chicken bone sitting right here on the nightstand, and I just, because that was my late night snack, I didn't feel like throwing it away. Okay.
Let me ask you this though. So kind of what he just said. So Geraldine, if the guy comes, let's say you cook dinner, he's at your place, you cook dinner, and your natural inclination when a person comes over is to treat them as a guest. So you clean up after them. How many times before you say, no, this is not okay? Because I think the first time or two, I'm going to collect your plate, pick up your napkins, you know, yada, yada. I'm going to clean up because as a guest in my house, that's what I expect. How many times before you say, nah, brother, now you overstepping your boundaries?
Well, I didn't.
How many times for you?
I actually didn't have to do that because he would get up and take his plate to the kitchen.
Oh, so he knew how to be clean.
That's so interesting. Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, that's like, well, if you got the skills to do that here, why can't you do it at home?
He would, and see me, I'm here by myself, so I don't eat in my kitchen. I'll fix my plate and I'll either sit in my living room or go in my room, look at TV and eat. But he didn't even want to go in my room and eat. He would prefer to stay in the kitchen and eat.
He was probably like, I've never eaten in the kitchen before. This is nice. I can't eat in my kitchen. This is a nice place. Like, oh man.
Well,
maybe I should clean up my place.
The other way, though. What happens if it's the other way? So, like, this is bringing up memories now. So, what if you are the messier one and he's the neat freak? Or do you see it? So, I had this dude that was just an obsessive compulsive, and he drove me nuts. Like, that relationship lasted 2 weeks, like, because it couldn't go.
Was his furniture in plastic?
I mean, yeah, it was close to that kind of, pretty much. Like, I think he may have taken the plastic off when I came there, but put it on when I left. Like, it was just like, it was insane. Like, if there was one thing out of place, he would kind of follow me around the house and he would like put it back into place. And I was like, what is wrong with this guy? Like, there was just so much controlling that had to happen in his space. And then I noticed that he did it in other people's spaces too. And like he did it in restaurants. Wow. He did it in
that's a disorder.
It's a disorder. Like, so I feel like it can go the other way too, where it's not just the messy person who is showing some tendencies. It's also the super clean person that's showing some tendencies, because it's all about control.
Did you ever get nervous? Because I've heard, and I don't know how much truth there is to, so I'm just throw this in here for levity's sake. But did you ever get nervous and be like, oh, this dude might be a serial killer?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So there is some truth to that. Yeah. Because that's what I heard. Trish over here laughing. I'm like, yo, but have you not heard that, Trish? That like some serial killers, like their places are immaculate? Like when they finally got caught in the investigation, and everybody's investigating their places and stuff like that, they find that like
they know how to clean up after
extreme neat freak.
They do.
Everything
they know how to get blood out of a carpet, basically.
No, I'm serious. That's a thing. Look it up. That's a thing.
I'm gonna look it up.
That's the thing. So that's why I was messing with Anjali if she was just like, okay, hold on. This dude's giving me American Psycho vibes.
He scared me. That man scared me. And like,
he's just fixing the way you dry your hands on some.
I felt like I had to be a certain way around him that wasn't me. So like,
that's what controllers do. That's what controllers do.
That's not fair. Like, I'm pretty happy with myself. Like, I don't want to be
2 weeks.
what somebody else's version of me is supposed to be. So I don't know. Like, I feel like I feel like it can go both ways. I feel like, you know, both is about either a lack of control on the messy side
or too much,
or too much control on the super clean side.
Tightly wound. You got to find that gray area. You know, you got to find that gray area. And again, everybody has to know their personal boundaries, right? Gray can move on that spectrum, but it's all about comfort and how comfortable I am in that spectrum, in that person's place. Where do you think, Geraldine and Chris, and I'm gonna come to you, Anjali, where do you think your comfort gray area is on the spectrum between like too neat, super controlling, and just a pigsty, no control? Where do you err towards?
I think I'm between the too neat and
a little tiny little messy, like a little messy.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm the same way. I'm the same way. I mean, you know,
or to the neat.
I'm not gonna say I'm like neat.
I'm not a neat freak, but
my house is clean. Like, we just got, my house is clean.
My house is clean. You know, all my clothes are folded.
I also have a habit of, if I walk through my house and I smell something that I normally don't smell, I'd be like, ooh, what's that smell? And if somebody come here and I'll be like, do y'all smell something? Cause I smell something, I can't grab it, and it's getting on my nerves. I hate that. I don't want my house to smell bad at all. It might not be the cleanest,
right?
But it's clean, and I want it to smell good.
Burning that sage and those candles. Get that lavender out there.
Yeah, I just go to spraying from
choking your guests.
Yeah, I definitely think that across the board, I think we all say the same thing, that there's a limit, where there's a line that gets crossed on either spectrum. You can be neat and then there's too neat, you know, which leads into compulsive, or you can be messy and then you can be too messy, leading into hoarding. I feel like we all are, you know, in that common area of people who just like to keep a tidy house, you know, not necessarily pristine, but tidy, one that's livable, functional, and we want our partners to be able to do the same, to be able to live in or have a livable, functional space that you can enjoy yourself in. I think that's pretty much what it boils down to. Outside of that, there's a lot more talking it over that needs to happen, but I don't know that we're all there. I think everybody in this conversation is like, we're not there. We're not willing to talk it over. So that's what I'm getting from this conversation today.
So last thoughts real quick. Do you think, like, I don't know how you would be able to make those snap judgments or those first impressions without seeing their place, right? So that's kind of depending on the courting phase. That's more, I mean, for me, in my experience, if I'm going to your place and we've been courting, then that's kind of alluding to getting to the next stage a little bit. Do you think that this topic should be discussed in the courting phase? Like, how can you tactfully ask them, like, you know, are you a neat person, or are you how quickly do you bring that question in before seeing their place?
If you pick me up, your car is nasty, we're gonna have a conversation about this immediately. It's an indication.
What if I'm sending you? I'm gonna send you a cab.
Well, it's still a conversation that can be had.
Wait a minute, you got a car and you gonna send a cab for me?
Maybe I don't have a car.
You don't want to pick me up now?
Or maybe you live all the way on the other side of town and I'm running late, and I'm running late, and I'm like, yo, we got reservations. I'm gonna just send a car because I'm not gonna make it. I'm not gonna be able to get there to get you and get back.
You gotta take me
So
home. You gotta take me home.
Maybe not. What if the date goes horribly?
Then what are we even talking about?
Yeah, you're right.
I think ultimately, hey, when you start courting someone or you start dating someone, and you start to see, maybe you observe each other, how they live or whatever. You put the timer on, right? And so then you got to see by the time that timer runs out, what it is you can tolerate, what it is you can't, what it is that you enjoy about the relationship, and how long are you going to enjoy it until, until that timer runs out, that certain things can't be fixed. Because you may rewind that timer back when when you're like, oh, he's so cute, or she's so lovely, and she's so sweet. We like what we do, but ultimately, the dog hair ain't gonna cut it.
Right. Some people speed up that timer by putting gum on their nightstands, and you're just like, oh well, that timer just rang right now.
Right now, it's almost done.
Done.
Yeah. I think, and for me personally, I've gotten to a point in my life where I don't have time to fix anybody. I don't have time to get you to undo the things that you've learned. Like, this is who you are. I don't have time to undo that and make you the person that I want you to be. And who says that you want to be who I want you to be? So
that's true.
At the end of the day, you know what you can handle. You know what you can tolerate. I say, if nastiness is not it, cut it out, move on.
Yep. Got it. All right. Anything else, Anjali, before we wrap it up?
No, I think what everybody has stated is that it comes down to your personal boundaries. If for me, a messier person, that's not a deal breaker for me. A hoarder, that's a deal breaker for me. A obsessive compulsive asshole that follows me around his home, that's a deal breaker.
That's a deal breaker. It's a deal breaker. Can I go to the bathroom, please?
Yeah, exactly. You don't need to be here.
Right.
It's like,
so I want to make sure that you return the doorknob back to the appropriate degree that I had it at before you open this door.
Well, before we leave, can I ask one question? Because I know this is a habit of mine. When somebody uses my bathroom, I ask them to put the seat down before they flush.
I do that too.
I do it. I don't really necessarily ask anybody to do it because I'm like, they either know or they don't know, but I do it personally. I thought you was about to say when they leave the bathroom, you running behind them with the spray just because you don't want nothing smelling in your house. You're like, hey, am I wrong? For as soon as they come out the bathroom, I'm in the bathroom with the spray. Like,
no, but I have to ask because I've had people come here and not put down the seat, and when I go in there and I'm like,
no, that's a reasonable ask. That's a reasonable ask. That's a reasonable ask. That's a reasonable ask. I think some people need to be educated in that way a little bit more. So I think that's a reasonable ask.
Sorry, just to add to that, for me, when a man uses my bathroom and like keeps the seat up, that is a pet peeve of mine because sometimes when I wake up, early morning and I go to the bathroom, I fall in. So like, it's like, because I'm not paying attention. Put the damn seat down because I got to use it too. So that pisses me off. That is a deal breaker. I agree.
All right. Well, we're gonna definitely get y'all back on here. We're gonna have to bring that back around again. So let me say thank you.
Right.
That's another one. That's another podcast. So thank you guys. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Anjali. Thank you, Geraldine, for giving your time and your thoughts as always. I want to thank Anna Banana and Nas, K.I. from Bed-Stuy, and also Brother Hassan and Bumpy, all our producers and sound engineers, and Trish. Thank you as always. You got my thanks, even though you're going on vacations without me. That's cool, and getting robes and all this stuff. But that's cool. That's cool. Big O's day will come. Big O's day will come. That's cool. All right, slow motion.
Bye,
Peace.
Bye.
That was
amazing. You've been listening to Talk It Over, the only dating relationship podcast that begins in bed. We hope you got what you needed. Make sure you subscribe. Holla at you next week.